President-elect Donald Trump won the election in large part because of his ability to appeal to working-class, non-college educated, blue-collar workers across the country. Trump built his 2020 campaign and fortified his 2024 re-election effort around a coalition of these folks. But many of his advisors are among the wealthy elite. Tech giant Elon Musk boasts an estimated $321 billion net worth. Linda McMahon, who's been tapped to head up the education department, is said to be worth $2.9 billion. And Trump's pick to lead the Commerce Department, Howard Lutnick, sits at an estimated $1.5 billion. And that leaves out Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He's reported to be worth about $1 billion. Just a few of the president-elect's ultra-rich picks.
Nevertheless, conservatives are very excited about these picks. Here to talk about Trump's developing cabinet is Republican strategist Melik Abdul. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So what is your theory as a GOP strategist of these picks? Many people would say, try to read the ideologies behind them, particularly on the foreign policy side. Is this the non-interventionist aspect of the base, if you're thinking of someone like Tulsi Gabbard, but then Marco Rubio has a very different policy. And then, yes, there's a number of extremely wealthy people. Does that actually harm his appeal to working class, the new voters he has brought in? I would argue it does not at all, but you might feel differently.
No, on your last point, no, I don't think it does at all. Donald Trump is a unique politician. This is one of those once in a generation, maybe once in a lifetime politicians, in the sense that you won't have another one of him. Donald Trump he's led the life of a billionaire, a very wealthy person. And the fact that he was able to connect as the populace, if you will, that is something that is specific to Donald Trump. And you haven't seen anyone be able to replicate that, despite they may have tried. I think we probably started seeing in the Barack Obama administration, at least that's when I started paying attention, but definitely by the 2016 Donald Trump administration, there were a number of cabinet appointees who did not take salaries. Betsy DeVos, she was one of those. Linda McMahon was another one of those, I believe, as Treasury Secretary. But they were able to do it because they had made so much money that they didn't have to take a salary. Obviously, Donald Trump returned his salary as well. But I don't think most people are surprised to know that the powerful and elite hang around the powerful and elite. And so I think it signals something, at least as far as the Donald Trump, the cabinet picks from what I'm looking at, because he's had a variety of perspectives, some of whom that I probably would not have initially supported. But the fact that he's had so many different points of views, at the end of the day, this is Donald Trump's administration. And I think that he chose people. I was listening to someone and they pointed out that the people that he chose for these cabinet picks are very good communicators. And I didn't really consider that. He probably wants them going out advocating for his policies. But at the end of the day, this is Donald Trump's administration. So it doesn't matter. As I've said before, RFK may have a position on the vaccine. That's fine. We know that Operation Warp Speed was one of the things that Donald Trump had helped us usher through during the COVID pandemic. So Donald Trump is not anti-vaccine. A number of other positions that cabinet people, think about it. Donald Trump's own vice president, his current vice president, likened Donald Trump to Hitler. So the idea that there are going to be people who they're going to do what they want to do, no, this is Donald Trump's ship. And I think that he's gotten a number of very good people. We'll see what happens. I don't think we'll have another Matt Gaetz. I'll just say flat out, I was against Matt Gaetz from day one. I'm happy that Matt Gaetz is no longer in Congress. And I think that Republicans overall can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that he will not be the Attorney General.
I think there are several different points there, Melik, and I take the point that there are lots of people who are very rich who may not take salaries for their government work. But where we began was talking about President-elect Trump's appeal to working class voters. And I think there are legitimate questions there in the sense that he does, I think, identify ways in which that social strata has been mistreated or left behind by the political system in some ways. But then the bigger question is, does he or his administration have any real interest in finding actual solutions for them? So when you look at people like Linda McMahon or Howard Lutnick or Elon Musk for that matter, is there really any evidence that they care about working people?
Well, keep in mind, Linda McMahon, she was the former SBA administrator. So she's been in the Trump administration before. She's been Senate confirmed. So, there's a pretty good record for her when it comes to SBA. And there are a lot of things that the SBA did, even when it came to its Minority Development Business Agency. That is one of the things that was under the purview of the Small Business Administration, even though I think it has some level of independence there. But there are a number of things that Trump, not just his cabinet picks particularly, but that he did as president of the United States. And I think what gets lost a lot of times is that Donald Trump was president of the United States before. So there are a number of things that he did to advance a number of communities. I've seen now that we've had many conversations about how the rich have only gotten richer under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That will continue under Donald Trump. The rich will get even richer under Donald Trump. And I think that it depends on the type of, how people view that is dependent upon the economic anxiety that they're feeling. And I think even though that there are some elements where it seems as if the economy may be doing better, I know as someone who literally just paid $3.89 for a dozen of eggs at the store, that's what people look at their pocketbook. So much like we were in 2020, it wasn't that Donald Trump, the federal government, was negligent or the federal government much erred when it came to responding to COVID. It was Donald Trump's personal response, people viewing his leadership during the time of a global pandemic, and people judged him on that. It didn't matter that they were being able to get tests and all of these other type of things. It's what they felt. And what they felt at the time is that Donald Trump was not being a strong leader. They did not have confidence in him as the president of the United States. And I think that's a similar thing that we saw with Joe Biden now being in office. Donald Trump may or may not, who knows, I may be paying $4.19 by the end of, by the time we get to 2028. I'm not sure, but it's how people feel. If people feel as if they're doing better, if doesn't matter if, on the numbers they are, then that's typically how they vote. And I said many times, how people feel at the end of the day is how they vote. But Donald Trump remains a unique figure. I don't think that we'll have another politician being able to straddle the fence of billionairehood with just your regular populist everyday person. Because Donald Trump won't go to the Iowa caucus and eat corn dogs. He's not going to do it.
Melik Abdul, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.